father is Tibetan, and my mother, she's got kind of a mixed background, but she grew up in France. Her mother is from America, so my education and I grew up primarily in the U.S. But as a child, our family, we often traveled quite a bit, so I had exposure to other cultures and especially places like Mongolia. And so then from that kind of put inside me the want to travel and the want to go out and do something later on in life. Our first way was because my mother, she grew up in France, then she had friends and connections in Paris. So she would do a lot of working with agents over there, going to meet fashion houses, and I would be primarily here. And then what we would do is first we realized that we have this incredible product, but the price was quite high because the raw material and the labor costs were high. The price was high, so we had no brand recognition, and I mean at the time there was no internet even, so it was impossible to kind of spread the word out and show who we were. So the only thing that we could do was try to get bigger brands to notice our product and really love the product. So we had a lot of clients, and we would every year we would present 2 collections to them, and then their designers would come and they'd make some modifications, and then they would order the samples. It was not so stable because their designers change. Sometimes the designers love the product, but then the accounting comes from behind and says it's too high, and then the euro started to fall, and then so it wasn't very healthy to have a business where all your income was in euro, but your expense was in RMB, and RMB was going up. And as early on as 2012 that we needed a strategy going forward that was more direct sales through our brand. So at least eventually your own company is in your hands. It's not so much that if a company is not successful, then we don't get the order. So it's too dependent on the success of another company. Right now, we're more like in the teenage phases of our identity, so we're always questioning ourselves: who are we, what are we, our identity, how would we best present it to the world, and we have so many things to say. How do we say it most effectively, efficiently? So we're still in those stages.
다와 지당하위노다 도망 디노 사마고 되니 디그라도 정도는 뭐 정도라 되는 말로 지long 쿠르정 그런 거 주시는 좀 거는 좀 시유슈도는 거 가지고 돼 저거이나 말이나 그것도 진행하는 뭐 대진이는 그다 다리라 놀라는 연구직들이 놀란도 니 떠던 것이 당하위 제가 접지 그 정도는 구증들이야. 그다 디니마좀다 내가 너무 단유주의도 그 당하이 나라 직디 디니마테다 수에서는 지 사마라 되니 한고 이놈의 그 영한 주고지나 다 딩고즈니마다 맞추이 사마라 되니 고서도 그다음 되니 니네는 그다 니다 놀라는 것도 이렇게나 부르 주도록 선들이다. 달리기나 집자라 지금들. 그서다 집장 합천도 거스. 나도스 죽다스. 사르카티소 중저스 타다 연랑들 연랑나라다 서다르카 잠도 가정 대거때는 양 근저라도 좀 위라 야르다 뭐 다다 디소 담바직스 다다르카 되는서 다 사르카티소 거라즈스 그다고 다 사마사크 근데 단인스고 주인이라 그러다 디소 된지 그다다 요거때는 아래 다통만 놀라들는데 들어와야 되는데 지금까지 또 못리지나 지금 다 양성 좀 예치는 제일 말이다. 제일 말이잖아요. 이 사마라 지금 사찬도 그냥 지금고 노프고리까지 되지요. 다 사자가 되어놓은 거 이제 딱딱시인데 하는 지금 이렇게까지 사근이 지금 다 정하고 소프트웨어 동정 지금 마선이 노즐 딱딱 이렇게까지 지나 가지고는 혹시가 됐다. 지금 사마라다 연체모지요니네. 대신하는 주모지 돈이 더 정말 예치나 좀 제제는 말이죠. 많이 사마라 다 사찬되어는 때문에 그 조자즈 그 사찬의 그 신도 화망 측치잖아. 다 너무 이렇게까지 진진하는 게 대가느라 좋아하는 것이었다. 다친나 당만군 주디 담을 그런 거 저기 몰란다. 더 살아가는 거 영내 있는 데 그정 것이 니진도 다디 체이나 정도면 시고 더 부터 지는 영나 더 뒤로 통다 로리진 로리 렌다스나 그 야신한 루노 사자가 녀마한테 탐노 디사자 그래다 마와진 탐노 더 그지 여러 지다 그나 로한테 다와 또 로스 타모 니랑 통다 지오고 로리진 여러 짐도 짐토나 로한이는 또 양성 그 지고 동화라 지와 삼분한도 시지고 그시다.
My name is Willard Johnson. I'm from a little bit north of Seattle, Washington. For me, it's having a company that is developing a something beautiful, something that's authentic, and something that is all those things, is sustainable. So it's that mix of here's a really beautiful product that people put their hearts and their whole attention to. That is something that's representative of their culture and something that they're proud of. That's made really, really well and that other people can really appreciate. So the product itself is a really intriguing thing. For me, I never thought of working for a textile company or a fashion company. That never crossed my mind. But after seeing what this kind of product and clothing can do, not only for the industry, where it's slow fashion, it's conscious fashion, it's conscious products, but also for the people and the artisans in the community who are making it. That's a really thing for me. So that's one piece. The second piece is I really like math and technology, and that's my background, and so to find a company that has this, and I also get to do that. I also get to work with computers and analytics and really dive into the numbers and see how things are working, and then also teach others what I know about that. That's a really cool thing for me.
Like any business, we have challenges. Like everybody has challenges. There's not any business that says we don't have any problems, because that means they just stopped growing. And for us, the good thing is that our challenges are always new challenges. So we face our problems, we get past them, then we get to a new level where we face a whole new set of issues and problems and challenges. Again, we have to go through that, but I think it's important to learn from the problems that you face and make sure that they don't reoccur. So that's where it's important. I mean, human resources is a huge problem because largely everybody who comes here, you have to train them, and a lot of them have little to no schooling, very limited schooling. So that becomes a problem. In the beginning, when we were private label, it was better because you could train them. They had very good coordination, so you could train them in weaving or spinning. But now we've come to a new level where we need more administrative work, especially when you start entering sales. You're like talking to very high-end clients who can afford to buy like a 2,500 yuan scarf. You have to know how to speak proper Chinese with them or proper English with them and communicate with them. So those kind of things have become our new level of challenges. How do you train people to get to these levels? Yaku, I mean, first of all, yak down. It's like you have the yak down, then you have yak wool, and you have yak hair. So there's quite different levels. The yak down is what we use primarily. It's the very soft. So any animal, the down is always very precious fiber. And I think that just speaking practically about it, it's that it's much softer than sheep and even merino wool. It's got twice as much It's twice as warm as something made from sheep wool. It doesn't have the itchiness that sheep wool has. People who are allergic to sheep wool aren't allergic to yak wool. So far, the yak wool we have, it's taking it directly from the land, and these animals are animals who are free graze, and they just go out there. They eat incredibly rich herbs and medicinal herbs, and the nomads have to take them in summers in very high pastures, and they feed on this ground that's very rich and nutritious, and the grass that grows from it, the different plants, and so that has an effect on the wool and the milk. So with the wool, it's when you take that wool, and it's nothing like a sheep that's been genetically engineered to produce a lot of sheep wool. It's not like that. There's a certain, since it's just taken from that real wool and made into a product, there's a certain kind of energy around it, a richness, a naturalness to it. The simpler, the better. That was the way to start. More, we have like our very classic collection, which is all natural. Yes. So, for example, we have a piece like this, which is the natural gray raw material. The weave is incredibly classic. There's no pattern on it.
Yeah.
It's just even just the way the fringe is. There's no like elaborate knot on it. So it's a very classic piece of Norlha's, and it's very simple. And the reason it works is because the raw material is great.
Honestly, they're all just so beautiful, and I've never touched a product. I've never just gone somewhere, and just touched clothes. I've never done that before in my life, and I've never really appreciated clothing. It's I just for me, I don't care what I'm wearing, but to see this now, I want to touch it and feel it.
Patterns, of course, we have different patterns on scarves, and a lot of it with the scarves is about textures, different textures. But recently we had a new section that opened up, and it's taking the traditional Tibetan know-how on carpet weaving, and Tibetans have a very unique way of weaving carpets, the hand knotting that they've been doing for centuries, and it's done in central Tibet, and there's a very special sheep wool that comes from like the Changdang area, and so we went to source that sheep wool. We took some aspects of some parts of yak wool, also the lower grade ones, and then we combined these two together and came up with like a gradient of colors that are all natural, and they all kind of depending on the different mixes of yak and sheep, you get a nice mix from white to brown. And then with still keeping the essence of it, keeping everything natural in the carpets, we went into pattern and texture. And then again, it's taking parts of where we live and the plateau and incorporating them into the design. This color is from it's 70% sheep, Highland sheep wool, and 30% yak wool. And here the carpet, you're supposed to look at it from top down, and it's called yak on the move. So these are all herds like moving along in rows. And then so it's that, because when you look at a carpet a lot of the time, of course you're looking at it from top down. So it's just allows you to think and interpret it and feel part of this of the plateau in the design. This is more like if you travel around the plateau, and we have lots of different series, but you have these areas that are kind of there's rivers, but around the rivers you have different shades of just green, and then it gets into darker green, and then it gets into a dense muddy thing, so you get that feel of just the flow of the ground and the different colors. And so again, it's sharing a part of just nature and the plateau and incorporating it into the design. The toys came up because when we started to work a lot with bigger pieces of felt, you're left with all these scraps of felt, like leftover pieces of fabric, and then we didn't know what to do with it. You couldn't, like, it was a shame to throw it out, and then so we started to develop smaller products out of leftover pieces and try to get a better added value. So this one actually my sister designed. It's a yak. And so he's made out of felt entirely. And he's quite popular. We called him Tsering yak. Tsering means long life. It's a Tibetan name. So we thought it's very auspicious. And then we thought in Tibetan folk stories, and I'm actually not like, if you travel into central Tibet, a lot of people talk about the yeti. We decided to make like a cute yeti, like a happy yeti. So this is the yeti, and then we have a whole family of yetis. In a lot of folk tales and a lot of stories about, especially with kids, but in central Tibet, even with grown-ups, there's this figure that they call a yeti, and in Tibetan it's called migur. And he's kind of like a very big monkey man. And you find his footsteps, and like the people are quite terrified of him, but they say that he's got a nice heart, so if you don't bother him, he won't bother you. But sometimes he'll come down and steal some food or something, and then he disappears back into usually into very jagged hills.
那他们俩是几岁的时候去的那个拉布拉多？
他是15岁的时候。
15岁。
现在18岁。
他学了3年。
他是14岁的时候，现在17岁。
17岁。那当时为什么想让把他们送到拉布勒斯学习？
是他们在，我的希望，我一直在去那个当和尚。
他自己就想当和尚，还是你们想让他当和尚？
他也希望这样，我的希望也在当和尚。
你也希望他当和尚？他说我不想在成都他当和尚。
对。
你是不想让他当和尚，你想让他去城市里面生活，但是他自己还想当和尚。
对。
为啥？因为他平时他从小的时候就受到这样的，就是你们给他讲这些东西，然后一起去寺庙，那他就是想当和尚吗？还是？
不知道，我们在藏民人大部分在一直去寺庙里，一直去的。但是我在这样的，但是在他，怎么说呢？他的 他不喜欢在上学，什么都不喜欢，他就一直
觉得当和尚好。
对。
那当时你哥哥，这几个哥哥当和尚，然后你和你的哥哥为什么没去？你的弟弟去当和尚，你和你哥哥当时都没去。
我们是这样的，我们在一个家庭的时候，在和尚有的挺好的，但是家里在做一个需要一个是。
就不能全家都当和尚。
对。
这样的话家里就没有东西，没有钱。
就是那个家在之间没有了，
家都没有了，所有人都是和尚。
对。
然后所以这个时候你就想，然后我来当牧民。
对，
我
哥哥在去上学，我当牛羊，我的2个弟弟在送到旗下和在这样。아래 다동만 놀라들은 데 들어가야 되는데요. 지금 내일까지 또 못 들리지나. 지금 다 양성 좀 예치는 제요는 말이다. 제요는 말이잖아요. 사마라 지금 사찬도 그냥 찍었고 노크고 내일까지 되지요. 다 사자가 되어놓은 거 이 딱딱시인데요. 지금 내일까지 사근이 지금 다 정하고 속자라도 뭐 지금 마선이 노들릭도 딱딱 내일까지 지나 가져는 음식이가 됐다. 지금 사마라다 연체모지 연이네. 대신하는 주무지 돈이 다 좀 예치나 좀 제제는 말이죠. 많이 사마라 다 사찬대요는 때문에 그 조자즈 다 사찬도 그 심도 과목 측치잖아. 다 너무 내일까지 지나는 게 내가 아니라 좋아하는 음식이었다. 그래. 아, 슈 사찬도 있나? 근데 그거 봐요. 그래. 니는 그 저 좋아가. 그거냐니 그 다저와 남초 또 못다 공부는 지금 상도나로 그래. 다 세석라들 가게 직접해서 뭐나로 싶은데 다 단자가 하나 sar카트라는 자 그러다 그래요. 그래서 자고. 대단 저 과망서 쓰시네라. 아래 닥쳤고 단 저관도 양성 뜻단 하나 말모. 또 지금 세석라다 지금 정주 또 뭐와서 지금 노지게 르야 다 지금 석정하니 그도 뭐 정구가 가정 속고는 그 되게 때 양성가 딱 전환 혹시 딱 내렸다. 그다음 동마이 나라 지금 지금 저 과인디 다 지금 놀라는 메디나라 젠바기 지금 청나라서 그게 저거다. 그 지금 나사서서 나병서 성직 청은 저거다. 이제 그 지금 저 과인 주 자르는 또 정도는 말이지. 그 나라 지금 저 과인도 언건 하나 말다. 지금 높다 내게. 안디 동마이 나라는 디노 연주 지금 놀라는 요 지금 놀라는 나라 소마 특징은 저디 디 가모 놀라는 성도 그 니젠바기 지금 원군주 정도 근데 그 성장의 예를 년주 전에도 뭐 자신은 또 뭐. 대인으로 또 세속도 진성도 단대 들여오느라고 또 이제 그런 놀라는 일까지 지속선다 됐더라고. 놀라는 일까 양그선다 대창그 자자자그서 이익이 정도로 뭐 동마디 창그 그리 정도 그 자리 장단데 나와지게 영어지게 실질자가 또 지금 정 다니다 창아 그리 전인다. 또 이제 다 되나다 다네 파표티다가 같은 거다 이익이 오늘 뭐 이익이요. 그냥 다 이익도 신정부 이 같은 데는 청주 회자가 이따가 지금 이익도 자느라 그런 거 청주는 자도 지내 이익이야. 다 같은 디다와리 리진 파표리 리진 다 로네데 엑소노려가 대신에 다 같은 이익을린다 정도도 되죠.
English classes. I did them for a bit, and then Andrew came and did them. And yeah, there's some people here who really enjoy it and who have really improved, and especially in our Norlha's business because it's so global. Yeah. So what I mainly do is I help with the e-commerce. So we have a website that is mainly dedicated for the international audience. So Dorji mainly handles domestic within China, and those websites, those sites, Taobao and Weijian. So for our website, yeah, it's our international market, which is it's interesting because you cover a lot of countries, you know.
그러다 다 마음 하리나 다 루치 담발로 손디롱 통하다 그때는 영날에 다 하리나라 신나고 논란도 지그시 된나 너 지금 군도서 그 지금 적됐나 그런 거 그지 예체도 하리 지금 논란은 그 아마는 그래서도 아무도 있는데 제가 저 그때 되는 거 좋아하는 그런 거 그 시이조에나 저거 아이나 저건데 논란될 때는 다 지금 그 정말은 그 어디 논란은 지금 시 무슨 뭐 그런 거 지금 놀라 그래 지금 그 삼로에나 저 그런 거 이렇게 하는 저 놀라 그래서 한다나 저모스 당나 그런 거 지금 저모스 니와 그 지금 그런 거 하려 돼 놀란데 니와는 문제 그런 거 상관은 없습니다. 달로 담바 운디랑 통다 정들지나 저거 그 사자는 또 같은 뭐 이렇게 하신다 같은 경우에는 다 지금 들어가는 거 적도들이 그 옛날하고 그 다리 나라 지금 도만도 있나 지금 그 대화가 정정스러 그다음 그 하래 지금 잠바 그 지금 정스 지네 그 지금 그 대화 건지 나라 지금 그래서 지금 디 놀란데 지금 마후이나도 있나 다 잠바 뭐하지 지금 놀란디 그래서 저번에도 어떻게 지도 지금 시리하는 짓이다. 그 사자 소소.